Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum. I'm joined today by Dr. Jackson Crawford, Distinguished Professor.
I never earned that title, but neither did the guy that I make fun of for calling himself that.
So this is a little bit different than what I normally do. We've been hanging out for a while now, and you came to Finnish Brutality to shoot it.
Yep.
With some background in IPSC, right?
USPSA and IDPA.
Okay.
So similar to IPSC, yeah.
Ever done a brutality match before?
No, sir. This was number one.
All right. So I'm curious what your impressions were, what sort of advice you might have for someone else who's considering doing this sort of crazy nonsense.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts, actually. Let me start with my thoughts from beforehand, right? I've seen your videos running through Finnish Brutality. I think all the Finnish Brutalities, because I wanted to get a sense for it. And of course, I noticed that physical fitness is a big part of it.
It is.
So for the last, what has this been, like 9 months since we were first talking about this, I've been paying a lot more attention to just a daily regimen of, for me, pretty basic physical exercise, but it still helped me be at a higher bar than I would have been had I not been,
okay, nice.
running a little bit, doing push-ups a little bit. Like, I'm not a super athlete, obviously. That's actually where I lost a lot of time, which I guess I'll come back to. But just if you get winded going upstairs, you're not going to be able to do this at all. Like, you will time out in one stage after another. My shooting fundamentals were actually really good.
Okay.
So I was never really worried about that. I hit the range at least once a week, and that's a light week for me. Probably put 1,000, 1,500 rounds downrange a month. I would say that actually did me a ton of good.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah. I use the exact same guns here that I use at home. Well, duplicates. So I was, I knew exactly where the zeros were. I was really pleased when we zeroed our weapons and it hit right where I...
Yeah, we didn't even have to re-zero, we just checked.
Yeah, although I was worried about that after it traveled 5,000 miles.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even being, I think, reasonably prepared, there's always that word hovering in one's mind, brutality. It's like, it is meant to be brutal. Like, I knew it wasn't going to be a cakewalk. And I think my biggest fear was actually that I was just going to embarrass myself, right? That I was going to be, last place or second to last place or something. I didn't think I was going to DQ because I'm safe about handling guns. But I was just like, man, I'm going to be just an afterthought on the scoring. And it turned out I wasn't.
Nice.
And that was a huge relief and joy to me, actually. I placed 82 of 134.
That is not bad at all for a first match like this.
It's like 60%, I guess. Yeah. And I placed higher than some people who thought they placed higher than me. That was satisfying. Yes. Always very satisfying. Some stages I did better than others. The main place I lost time, I think, is in running. I'm not a fast runner.
Okay.
I can run and keep running, but I can't do it very fast. I don't know. I'm a slow guy. I lost about 46 seconds relative to you because I put on clothes in the sauna stage. I mean, I at least put on pants.
That's where they get you.
Yeah, it is where they get you. I did put on pants, and I didn't anticipate how much slower that would be. I should have fucking practiced this.
You normally wouldn't expect that putting on pants is an essential skill for on-the-clock shooting.
No, but having 5 mags on my pants made it slower, right? Because
that's right.
Because because I wear a gun belt every day. It's just what I'm used to. So I'm just wearing my regular belt and clipping stuff on. I don't have like a shooting belt.
Gotcha.
So of course I have to put all that on like this, and I don't normally have to do that at home. It's like, there'll be...
Not on the clock anyway.
Yeah, not with 5 mags. So that slowed me down considerably. And, obviously, though, it's not like you don't know 9 months in advance what specific things you're going to have to face.
Even I didn't, and I, close to the match.
Yeah. I mean, like, I practiced crawling a little bit with guns, but noticeably, I practiced crawling, like, straight, not sideways. And sideways is what we actually needed to do this match. So, you can't anticipate it. I didn't anticipate having to flip over a bar.
Yeah.
But I learned how to do it literally during that stage.
I think you and a lot of other people.
Yeah. And I finished that stage pretty well.
Nice.
I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't, definitely was far from my worst stage.
It's worth pointing out that here in Finland, they have a lot of really good shooters.
Oh my God.
There are a lot of military reservists and active duty military who shoot this match.
Yes, sir.
And those guys are on point.
I think the top 13 scorers were all Finnish or Swedish military.
Wouldn't surprise me, yeah.
I think that's right when I was looking at it last night.
For some reason, they take military preparedness seriously over here.
Yeah, there was something about like sort of imaginary situation with like an eastern neighbor being kind of aggressive. Yeah. I mean, like I have a lot I can say about this if I have time to blabber further. I think it would be easy for someone who is on the fence about doing something like this to be scared by that word brutality.
Okay.
But in a sense, you are being brutal to yourself. Right, in preparing for this. I think you can attest to that well, given all the running you did in armor.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't know, I could see somebody being turned away by this. It's not like people are brutal to you.
Yes.
In fact, this is the friendliest match environment I've ever experienced. And this is a big, high pressure, kind of high stakes match, high profile. And I have been to local shitty shooting club matches where people are bigger dicks than here. You know what I mean? Like this is a friendly environment.
I'm really glad to hear you say that, because that's something that I've always thought was a huge point in favor of these matches.
Oh my God.
Everyone considers it's you against the stages. It's you against yourself. It's not cutthroat competition of you against the other competitors.
No,
everyone out there is highly supportive and enthusiastic. You know, when someone else finishes a stage well, often as not, there's applause from the rest of the squad.
Yep. Yeah, like a lot of local or sectional matches in Colorado, what you see is there's like two really good guys that everybody watches, and then nobody watches anybody else. There's always kind of like this standoffness from the better shooters to people they don't know. Here, it's totally the opposite. I mean, someone like Jari, spending all this time putting together this match, spending all this time, running during the match.
Yeah.
Just the nicest guy. I mean, give you the shirt off his back practically.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just been astonished. People remember your names. People share stuff. You were so kind as to share your magnifier, which made a big difference to me on some of the long distance rifle stages, and I'm gonna get one myself.
I'm so glad I brought that thing.
Vortex magnifiers endorsed by Jackson Crawford.
Yes.
Very much so.
We had a lot of, the ranges weren't particularly long this year. I think the longest range was 140 or 150 meters. But there were a lot of small targets, and virtually all the targets are dirt colored on dirt backgrounds.
Yeah.
So the magnifier wasn't so much because the target's small, it's because you're not going to be able to spot the target.
Yeah. And I can tell you, I wonder if you would agree to this. I am a pretty dead-on pistol shot.
Seems like it, yeah.
There were still some targets that were so small that I missed them with my pistol, which is something I'm used to like never missing with my pistol. But like because it's the size of a small T-plate and it's the same color as the rock behind it, like that's hard.
Yeah.
And of course you've just run with a kettleball, or you've just flipped or something. So it's amazing. Actually, that's another bit of advice I would give someone preparing. Do your exercise, get your heart rate up, then practice shooting.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's what you're going to be doing here, is shooting with your heart rate way the hell up.
Yeah.
I have a Fitbit, and so just for fun, I was looking at it throughout the match, and you can actually watch my heartbeat as it goes. It's like, oh, that's the first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage, fifth stage.
Nice.
I'm sure for you, it's just high the whole way through.
So I did Recon Division this year, which is a new thing that Jari, the state match director here, introduced, where after every single stage, we did a 3-kilometer run, and that was in 12 kilos, or 25, 26 pounds of gear plus rifle.
Or more gear.
Yeah, sometimes more gear. If you had more on you, then that's what you run in. It was good and bad. It was a fantastic challenge. It was truly brutal. It's 2 days later now, and I still am hobbling away from the bed when I get up in the morning. But maybe one of the biggest downsides to it was I missed a lot of the social elements of the match, because I would always be one of the first people to shoot, and then it was off to run. So I didn't
Right.
get a chance to watch you on hardly any of the stages.
Right, so I'm hobnobbing with the other guys who, made the common sense decision to not run 30K in armor.
Yeah.
And, getting to see other people shoot the stage and you're, running when you're not shooting. That did seem like potentially it's a social loss, but you paid for so much cred. Because you showed up, you took on the challenge and you did it.
Yes,
I mean,
I finished it.
As it were. Some people backed out. So
Yes, that is true.
you did it. I think there's a lot of credit in that.
I'm really impressed of all the people who actually started recon and did the first run. There was only one person apparently who dropped out without finishing recon.
Oh, really? Okay.
And that was because they were actually sharing gear with someone who was in standard armored. And with the running, it just wasn't, I think they were like sharing a plate carrier.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
it just didn't work logistically. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't enough time for them to do it.
and understandable. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I mean, like people who didn't show up for the match at
Oh,
all.
there is that, yes.
But would you do it again? Would you do Recon TST again?
I will not do it next year, but if I could go back and redo this year's match, I would do it again.
Okay.
I think I would be really disappointed in myself if I had the opportunity to try that challenge and didn't take it.
Yeah.
But having done it now, I have done it. And especially for someone planning to film content like I'm doing, we planned on doing sort of a stage by stage debrief, and that all just went right out the window.
Well, we could do a brief stage by stage debrief here while it's still fairly fresh. What do you think?
Yeah, if you like to.
So let's see.
What stands out?
Well, first day was throwing the kettlebell, shooting from where the kettlebell falls, trying to get across that line,
Yep.
and then run back. Running back was the next day.
And
It
then
was just
doing
get
the rifle spinner offhand,
Yes, that's right.
which was miserable, and I came kind of close, but not really. The interesting thing to me was my shooting on the rifle spinner at the end of that stage actually improved as I almost ran out of time.
Oh, interesting.
Like I got to it totally out of breath, and the rifle was
Oh, but
doing
you
this.
settled down.
And I was actually able to settle down over the course of I don't know what I had at that point, 40, 50 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I actually started getting more hits by the end of it, and I had it moving, but I didn't have nearly enough time to finish.
I never got to it. I timed out throwing the kettlebell. Bell. Okay.
It's a heavy one. This was 26 kilo. That's 56 pounds, I think.
Yeah, and I do not have that kind of physical strength. It's something I should have worked on more. Second stage was, let me see if I remember, it was the one where we started on the back of the Sisu.
Yep, moving truck.
Shooting from the back of the moving truck, the bed of the moving truck, at 6 targets,
Yeah.
which were bonuses if we hit them from the truck.
Yes.
So I got 1 bonus. How about you?
Nice. Zilcho.
Okay. This is all rifle, as was the first stage.
Yep.
Jump out of the truck, drag an IED. It's actually more like a small coffin type thing.
I
full of
think
some
it was
stuff.
a mortar ammo can.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
It was a long ammo can. Empty, but it weighed 10 pounds probably, just by itself.
Yeah, it was awkward.
Yeah,
I feel like there's some rocks or something in it. It seemed like it was rolling around, but anyway.
that would figure.
So we drag that to a hole, shoot, run to another one, drag that to another hole, shoot. Do that 3 times, and then repeat backwards.
Yeah, basically moving these IEDs from one position to another and shooting at each one, and then resetting the target yourself, resetting the stage yourself.
Yeah. And so like the first stage, the first 2 stages I timed out. I wasn't quite moving fast enough. So I timed out at like the last run on that one.
Okay.
What about you?
I did fairly well on it. I think I was 160, something like that. So I finished it, not super fast, but I finished it. With the recon running, the goal went from, I want to have really good times and be really competitive, to I just want to be able to finish these stages without timing out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Goal is not time out. If I can do it without getting any penalties as well, that would be great. But that's the extent of what I had in me with the running.
Of course, you look at the scoreboard, not a single person finished without one penalty at least.
Yes, in the overall match.
We all hit penalties.
Yep.
But on stage 3, you shot for Orstir. Right. Glory.
Yes, I did. Sisu, Sauna, and Sibelius.
This is the stage that we started completely naked in a sauna, and you finished completely naked.
Well, I was wearing a
With gun
plate
belt.
carrier.
With a plate carrying gun belt. But yeah, this is where I took the time to put on pants. And
You start in the sauna, and on the timer you come out, and you have a box with all your gear.
well, on the timer, you throw water onto the rocks.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, as one does.
Yes.
Put on your gear, and then a series of target engagements. Naturally, you're shooting at silhouettes that are, well, they're not quite full size. I don't know if they were, C-zone silhouettes or something like that. Nestled between a pair of no-shoot poppers. Mm-hmm. So,
Not easy.
no, I killed 3 of them.
Yeah. The no-shoots were very tough on that stage, especially given that you're running against time. I was definitely running against time. I took the time to kneel, but not to get prone. I actually did pretty well on that stage, although I lost 46 seconds putting my pants on.
It was interesting. That was a stage that I RO'd for the RO match. On Friday, all the range officers got to run the match. They did all 10 stages in one day.
Yes.
And a bunch of us helped run the stages for them.
Special shout out to the ROs who ran for themselves that entire match in one day. Kristoffer Elleros, the Swedish,
Viking.
yeah, I guess that's the
Swedish
best
Norse
word for him.
god.
I mean, he plays so freaking high. He's like in the top 10.
He won recon
Yeah.
doing the entire thing in one day. So 30 kilometers in one day
kilometers
and
and all
10
this.
shooting stages.
God.
Yeah.
And did you see on Instagram, he posted him just like leaping like a deer over that bar? That guy's insane.
Yeah.
So special shout out to those guys. Oh, we also didn't mention on the sauna stage, you had to put the
Yeah.
aspen or birch tree into the
Yeah, you had
tank.
to disable a BMP with a log and then
pretty
throw a
fun.
satchel charge on it.
That was pretty fun.
Anyway.
Definitely not a simulation of anything that really happens ever with Russian tanks.
No.
I mean, tanks from an unnamed European country to the east.
There were a couple instances in the Winter War where they disabled Russian tanks with logs just like that.
Yeah, I know.
Probably bigger logs, but
I am.
oh, sorry, I lost it. I'm in Finland too long. I've already lost my sarcasm detector.
Well, you have to remember my sense of humor consists primarily of lying. With a straight face.
It was interesting. What I was getting at is I personally RO'd that stage
Yeah.
for all of the range officers to shoot. And it was interesting seeing the difference in times for people who put on a lot of gear versus people who didn't. Because we had a significant proportion of the ROs who also ran it buck naked.
Oh, man. And Vera.
Yeah.
God, I mean, what a nightmare.
Yeah, so she gets out there to do it, buck naked, and has a rifle malfunction on the very first shot.
So she's sitting there
Rack,
naked.
click,
Just trying to get her
rack,
gun to work.
click, rack, click.
I mean, it's exactly like a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm naked in front of everybody and my rifle doesn't work. And everybody's looking at me. It turned out it was a cleaning patch that got stuck.
Yep, cleaning patch had been left in the breech face of the rifle, and it was like 0.5 millimeter from going into battery.
Well, God bless her. She was calm and handled it well and shot it well when she reran it.
She got a rerun on that for
Yeah,
obvious
yeah.
reasons.
So that was impressive.
Yeah.
Stage 4 was the blind stage.
Yes. The range setup here is cool in that it makes it feasible to have the stage, the squatting area, the staging area for the stage, out of sight of the actual pistol bays where it's being held.
Yes.
And so when you come down, you go into the building and you don't get to look at the ranges. And you get a stage brief that'll tell you, like, here's what you're going to be shooting at. Here's maybe some notional idea of how many targets you may need to engage, but you don't know where they are. And this one was math.
Yeah. We were each given a random number. Well, what happens is the first thing you do on the stage is you run up to a spot where there is a number, or there's just cards upside down, so you flip over and you see a number.
Yep.
And apparently they changed those between people, so you couldn't even tell someone what one option might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got 30. So then there's 2 sets of plates, or was it 3 sets of plates?
I think it was always 2 sets of plates.
2 sets of plates with various numbers over them. Don't shoot the numbers.
Yeah,
We
shoot
were
the plates.
repeatedly warned, shoot the plates that add up to the number. And of course, I had 30, right? So like, I would need to shoot, I don't remember what the combinations
17 and
were.
13.
17 and 13, but also like 16, 14 if it's there.
Right.
So I did pretty well in that stage, but missed one combination I could have shot. So
That was a fun one. I liked that one.
it was fun. It was fun. Definitely practice math. Like, under pressure. I don't know what that looks like. Maybe it's trying to write a tip when someone's behind you in line. Yeah, but fast stage.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was generally speaking a rifle centric match. There was definitely,
Yes.
it's probably 60, 65% rifle.
Or more. Round consumption wise, I'm not sure we shot 100 pistol rounds.
Oh, I don't know that we shot 50 pistol rounds.
Yeah. But rifle consumption wise, probably 200-ish.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. But the last stage was pistol centric.
Yes.
And because this is what I obsess over personally, I hit a smashing time on this one, 59.74. I'll be gloating about this till I die. I was not, it turns out, the top in the stage in our squad. The machine beat me by like a 0.01 second.
Top human in the squad.
Yeah. Still, I was really happy with it. That was where it was also kind of random based.
That was another flip over the card sort of thing.
So there's 3 shooting positions. 2 of them are kneeling, shooting through tires. So you flip over card, run to the shooting position that corresponds to the number. And then once you've shot all 3 targets from whatever the shooting position is, you turn over another card there, run to the next one, repeat.
Yeah. And there's an interesting element of random chance because all 3 positions had cards at all 3 positions.
Yep.
So sometimes you'd be at position 2 and you'd flip the card and it'd say 2.
Yep.
And so you just stay there and hit the targets again and repeat.
Yeah, Les got 2 3 times in a row.
Oh, nice.
Which is great because you can stand.
Yeah, that was the easy position and you don't have to move. And
Yeah, so there was some luck to it. I got some 1-3s, but that was cool. Yeah, fun stage.
so that ended day 1 for us. And then day 2, 5 more stages, basically alternative setups on the same bays with a lot of the same props. So the stage that had the BMP on it still had a BMP on it. We were making use of it in both stages.
Right, just differently. First stage on day 2 was actually one of the most fun, I think.
Okay.
Starting under the dummy.
Yes, that's right.
So they put...
It's like a 120-pound drag dummy on top of you.
Yeah, you get a knife in your hand, training knife. You had something extra on your dummy.
Yes, they thought it'd be funny to lash a Garand Thumb body pillow to my drag dummy. So I got to stab Garand Thumb in the face.
That pillow was all over the match.
Yes, it was.
So you throw off the pillow, stab it. Everybody stabbed it multiple times. That wasn't technically required.
This is true.
I saved time by stabbing it once. Then, very difficult pistol spinner plate.
Straight into a pistol spinner.
You had 2 mags to get this thing to spin.
Right.
Just about nobody got it to spin. You did.
I did. I got it on the last round of my first mag, which I was very happy with. The 2 mag thing is a really nice, like, stop the bleeding sort of allowance.
Yeah.
So, this is literally the first shooting engagement of the stage. You really don't want people to stand there for 3 minutes futilely trying to empty it. So you've got 2 mags. If you don't get it in 2 mags, chances you're going to get it at all are pretty slim. Cut the losses, and you're forced then to just continue with the stage.
Yeah. No, I thought that was well designed. Run up to 3 different shooting positions successively.
VTAC barricades. Yeah.
And then engage 2 targets twice from each one, or 2 targets once from each one.
Yeah.
Each hole, two holes in each one. There are pyrotechnics going off during this stage.
Yes,
It's
simulated incoming mortar fire.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was interesting to me that I didn't even notice them.
Yeah.
Like, they look great on video, but I was completely oblivious to that going on in front of me.
I noticed the one going off, but I was also like mentally ready for it. It didn't startle me, but I could see how it could maybe.
Yeah.
I was too much in the zone. You get up to the last one, take a final shot from your rifle, and then safely turn around. and run back to a Sacco bolt-action rifle.
Yep.
That was way, way back at the beginning of the...
At the beginning, it was a 150-meter stage.
Yeah.
And it was at meter 0, and you started your sprint from about 25.
Yeah. So you get back there, take one shot, and that's the final shot of the stage. Very
plate
tiny
like
plate.
that guy.
Yeah.
It was a bonus shot, but you had to try it.
Yeah.
I liked the way they did that. Sacco has been a sponsor of Finnish Brutality, I think, for all of the Finnish Brutalities. And they bring out a rifle as a stage gun. And last year, the stage gun shot was the very first shot of the stage. So you got to start on the rifle, on the grip, looking, zeroed in on the target. And so essentially everybody made the hit, which I'm sure looks really good for Sacco, but it doesn't really add much to the stage. This time, you're taking a sniper shot after the whole stage, and then a long sprint back up the bay.
Also, you have to sight it.
Yes, and it's sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
Like it's not on a rear monopod.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
I liked it as dessert. I knew I was pushing up against the edge of time. I had like 3 seconds left when I took that shot. If I had taken 1.5 of those seconds to sight a little bit better, I probably would have hit that plate. But I was just like, I know time is about to get called, and I just don't want a timeout.
So. A lot of people did not make it to that shot. So
it's a nice rifle.
Yeah.
And fine cartridges provided by Sacco. So
yes, for us foreigners, Sacco is the ammo sponsor, so that we don't have to try and import ammunition.
Right, which is complicated.
Yeah.
And thanks also to Les Winter of Polaris Logistics for moving our guns for us.
I have a whole video with him on how we got our guns over to Finland from last year, but it's all still the same as this year.
Yeah, big shout out to Les. Stage 2 that day was also Sisu, but this time we were crawling under it.
It was the same as the trench stage from last year, but instead of being in a trench, you were crawling back and forth under a Sisu armored truck.
Yeah, physically pretty challenging.
That was the most physically demanding stage for me up to that point.
Yeah, I would say it's the second most physically demanding stage.
So would I, once we get through the rest of them.
Yeah. I felt really bad at this point for the guys with, armor.
Yeah.
And all the stuff on your armor.
Yeah.
Felt a little bit bad for you in a kilt, because I figured your calves were probably getting scratched up.
My knees are pretty much covered with scratches and bruises and dirt embedded still in them.
Sounds plausible.
I did actually put on knee pads for that one.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I was carrying the knee pads the entire time in the backpack, just for the record,
Good on you.
as the rules require.
Oh, right, because you had to have all of your equipment always on you.
Right.
Of course, I was in open, so I could take stuff off. Good for me. Not everybody could do that. It was still hard.
That was like stand up, run to spot, go prone, shoot, crawl, shoot, stand up, run, prone, shoot, stand up, run, prone, shoot. And you only had one shot.
Yeah.
You only needed one hit, but if you missed, you had to move to the next position,
And
regardless.
there's 4 shooting positions, and you're trying to get 13 before the timer goes.
Yeah, so it was 4 cycles back and forth if you do it clean.
And you got 13, as I recall.
I did.
I got 10, so it's not bad, but so I guess I did time out on that one. So that was challenging, but kind of simple.
Yeah.
Stage 3 that day was also featuring the BMP. This time you start in it, engage 3 targets. The last one is a single shot with your mag dropped.
Yep.
So if you miss it, that's it. Then you crawl either.
You come up. The original design of the stage was you're in the BMP turret and you go down into the turret and then out the back of the vehicle.
Yes, not everybody can fit that way.
A lot of people, they had a lot of trouble with people getting stuck.
Yeah.
Like BMPs are tiny to begin with, and they're really not designed for guys wearing rigs and backpacks and all sorts of crap. And so they simplified it. Well, actually, it sort of made it more complicated, but it became more feasible by going up out of the turret and then down into the crew hatch and then out the back.
Yeah, and then run to another shooting position outside.
Yep.
Shoot at 2 of the targets. Crawl under a, I don't know what
Sort
to
of
call
an
it.
ad hoc tunnel.
Yeah, tunnel. Take the aspen or birch log from yesterday out of the BMP treads, and then crawl back through the tunnel, engage again, Also unload mag,
Yep.
one last shot at the small target, back into the tank, and then 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Or was it 1, 2, 1, 2, 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's
Engage a bunch of targets from the inside the BMP again.
Yeah. Challenging, but very fun.
Yeah. I like that one. I like agility challenges.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was definitely one.
Yeah. Squirming around in the tank.
Yeah.
Or smuga, as I put it in Wapenkrist's Droppe. Yeah. That was cool.
And that leads us to the worst stage of the entire match.
What, did you think so?
That was the physically hardest one. That was the one stage, like crawling under the sisu was exhausting, like truly exhausting. But the kettlebell stage was the one that was just soul crushing. That was the one where it actually crossed my mind when I got my first miss. Like, I could just stop.
God.
And it was just a brief flash. I'm like, no, I can't. But 20 kilo, so a 44-pound kettlebell, and you have to run it between bays.
In one hand.
Yep. Well,
Can't do this. I guess you could.
That's
but
true.
it'd be
You're
pretty
carrying
unsafe.
your pistol in one hand and a kettlebell in the other.
Yeah.
And each bay, well, there are 2 bays with targets. There's a no-shoot that has a small target and a large target right on either side of it. And again, you only have one shot. You don't get to shoot until you hit.
Yeah.
If you make a miss or you hit the no-shoot, you immediately go back to the first bay and take a penalty shot and then return. And you had to get 12 hits.
Yeah.
So you had to basically clear 6 bays doing this. And
Now, let's add to the difficulty here. On that first bay, the target to the left of the no-shoot seemed about this big, and it's up against something about the same color as it. That was the only pistol shot I missed, but I missed it, so I had to run back to the goddamn reshot. Yeah, I ended up making 8.
I got 9, but I made my 9 hits, and then my pistol shooting just fell apart. So I took a total of 11 shots, but the last 2 were both penalties.
Yeah.
Like-
My first 2 were the penalties. I don't know why. I guess it was because of this goddamn problem. Yeah, that kettlebell was heavy. So that definitely challenged my limited athleticism running with that thing.
I will point out this was after I had run 9 kilometers in kit that day.
Yeah. Oh, you would have definitely hit 13 if you hadn't
hope so.
been that exhausted.
I hope so.
Because this is late in the day.
Yeah.
Whew, yeah, that one was tough.
And then the last one was sort of another agility challenge. It was essentially, you had a rifle target and a pistol target, and there were steel plates that were sandwiched between paper no-shoots. So now you get the opportunity to get lots of penalties hitting them.
Yeah, there was an option to run further around to take a clean shot, not through the no-shoots.
Right.
However, I decided I would not deign to do so. The opening between the no-shoots was about the size of like an IPSC A-zone.
Yeah.
So I thought, why not just shoot through it? It didn't seem like a big deal.
Same
That
here.
wasn't the problem. The problem was getting over the bar between the shooting stages.
It was a little higher than waist height.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Well, so at first, this is what I thought was the most physically challenging one. Because I'm looking at it at first, I'm like, oh, it's horse height, right? I will mount it like a horse. Well, multiple problems with this. One being higher than a horse.
2 is no stirrups.
2 is no stirrups. 3, metal. So my attempt to mount it like a horse, and I have this on video, ended in incredible pain. So I had that to dog me through the rest of this. So then I had to do what the Finns were doing. And actually, I still put my hands the wrong way. I should have done this. But roll over it. It looks cool on video.
It does. I had not anticipated that technique from people. That was interesting to see for sure.
Yeah. Now, it was interesting to see different people do this different ways. Jari didn't do that. Right? He basically, like, did you watch this? Like, he leapt onto sort of the side pole and, like,
Oh, I didn't see that.
firemaned around it.
Clever.
Yeah. Christopher, Swedish demigod, leapt it like a fawn.
So he vaulted it with one hand on it, but no foot contact.
Whoop! And Then there were people who took it a little too hard. The machine tore a bicep getting over it.
Yeah, the problem was I think he caught his arm like behind the vertical stand on one and torqued his arm. And being a machine, he of course went on and finished the match with a torn bicep. But
Well, it was
you
the
gotta
last
be careful.
stage. But
Yeah.
man,
But he finished the stage at least with a fucking torn bicep.
Yep.
Holy cow.
yeah, it's a good stage. Definitely for me, the biggest physical challenge because I had never flipped over a bar.
Yeah, who has? So,
Somebody watching this probably.
well, and that was our 10 stages.
Yeah, and in between, a lot of fun hanging out, chatting with people. You know, seeing some cool guns.
A lot of fun running and running.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
right.
running.
That's right.
And running. Well, it was more like power slogging, but yeah.
But you brought some cool guns. You brought your WWSD.
I did. I sort of brought a hybrid one. It was a KP15 lower, so it's the 2020 lower, but my original 2017 upper, which I did because it's got a permanently pinned flash hider and a 14.5-inch barrel. So it's a little bit shorter, a little bit lighter, a little bit handier. And I wanted every advantage I could get going into this.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you had your Laugo Alien, which was sweet.
I got 2, I think both days, if I remember it correctly. My first shot was a malfunction because I haven't trained myself to get a low grip on it yet. The ejection port is so low that if I take a standard high thumb grip, I bounce cases back into the ejection port.
Yeah, you showed me that. Yeah, definitely they need to make a left-handed version or somehow ambidextrize this thing. Yeah, but it's a cool pistol. Trigger is phenomenal.
And it served me very well everywhere else. So no actual pistol malfunctions, just my thumbs once each day until I went, all right.
And what a cool idea, the non-reciprocating.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just it's a sweet pistol.
Thank you on the spinner.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That
Generally
would have been a huge
speaking,
advantage.
this match wasn't really dependent on having a fancy pistol. Like, I feel if I'd had a generic Glock 17, I probably would have done essentially the same.
Didn't Calvin place like 17th overall using a borrowed Glock 17 with irons?
Yes. Yeah.
And some cheap borrowed AR-15 with irons?
With irons,
I mean, yeah, that was really impressive.
Calvin Trong, Firepower United.
Yeah.
Kicked ass.
I was super impressed by that. I think, in fact, he was I may be wrong about this. Was he the highest placing English-speaking competitor?
I don't remember. Well, all the Finns speak English.
No, I know, but I mean, like
native English, non-Finnish speaker.
The distinction I'm making here is I'm like grouping, like bloke and us and all together.
Highest placing foreign volunteer, he might have been.
Okay, something like that. Yeah. Although Christopher was higher, but he's Swedish, which is close. Whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You were 20 something.
31.
31.
31 out of 134. I'm thrilled by that.
Yeah, I think it's and you said proportionately and absolutely better than last year.
Yeah, last year I was 48th out of a slightly smaller number of shooters.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yes.
Well, big congratulations, man.
Thank you, and same to you. I'm really glad that you came out and joined us and had a good time.
I'll be back.
Awesome, I hope so.
Well, shall we say from beautiful Finland, we're
First,
wishing you all the best.
And if you would like to know more about Norse language, Icelandic, sagas, Norse mythology as it's actually written on paper.
Or calfskin, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Norse by Southwest. Jackson Crawford. Check out his channel. I'll have a link in the description text. And we'll see one of the video cards will be to something cool that you did on this trip.
Thank you.
So, thanks for watching.
All the best.